Hi, you're watching The Tattooed Psychic. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. I just wanted to share this experience with you because I just came back from an amazing weekend. I drove me and my dog up to the Oregon coast, and we went to see a very dear friend of mine who's been a friend of mine for 40 years. We were talking about that, and we have lost so many friends who have passed away, and getting to spend time with somebody you've been friends with for so long but haven't seen in so long was just magical. So I want to tell you what we did. Spirit kept telling me I had to do this ceremony at the ocean. It had to be a specific Oregon coast that I could get to easily. And the Washington coast is beautiful, but it's not quite as powerful as the Oregon coast for me and energetic wise. And so it was by coincidence. I mentioned I was going to the Oregon coast, and she said, well, I work there and I live there. And I was like, oh my God. So that's how we ended up meeting each other up there. But that being said, we go on this hike. She knows all the spots, and so she's calling her friends and saying, hey, where can we go? And her friend suggested this one area called the Devil's Cauldron. And it's a little bit of a hike, I won't lie, but it's beautiful and completely worth it. So we hiked it down there, and when I think about it, I'm so proud of us because here we are, you know. Unfortunately, my friend Rochelle was hit by a car years ago, and it damaged her body, and she has a cane, but here she is hiking this trail to get to this magical spot, and I'm so proud of us for doing that. But we get to this spot, and it was so incredibly powerful. It was like Mother Earth was so powerful because we're on this cliff, like just here's the ocean, like it's just like right there. You go down this hiking trail, and all of a sudden you're just in this beautiful space. You've got these rocks beside you that are just massive, and the water's just pounding on them. And then you have this little area that's out, like, you know, a little I can't think right now, but a little cliff area, and that's where we did our ceremony. And it was so incredible, you guys. You can't even put into words what it feels like to do ceremony in a spot like that, where there's no one else around, and all you feel is Mother Nature and the wind. And as soon as I pounded my drum, because I brought my drum with me, my drum is right back there if you can see it, but I brought my drum with me, and I'm pounding my drum and calling the ancestors, and the wind just picks up and is just blowing. And I sang to the ancestors, and Rochelle was feeling it, and it was just a ceremony of release, you know. It was a ceremony of, this is it. And I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do this ceremony because it was the next part of my chapter. It was like I had spent so long doing this healing process for myself, right? That this was the, you know, we're throwing it now into the ocean and letting the ocean take it away kind of deal. And it was so powerful, and I feel so much lighter and so much more aware and so much more in tune with who I am and what I have to do in this world, right? And I needed to do that ceremony. So today I want to talk to you about the power of ceremony, because many of you don't realize how important it is. And I live in a state, and everyone knows about Seattle freeze. It's true. People aren't very friendly here. And I ask people to do ceremony with me, and they won't do it. And I'm like, you're just missing out. You're missing out on this power. Because when we do ceremony and we connect with spirit, it gives us more power. It gives us the truth of who we are. It helps us connect more with who we are. And if women get together and do it, it creates a unity between us. It creates that feminine bond. And it's a shame that more people in the Northwest don't understand that power of ceremony. So I drove to Oregon, and Rochelle did it with me right away. And she felt the power. She goes, I was so powerful. Those are the words you use, are powerful. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the connection of spirit that that happens when you do ceremony, and you call on your ancestors and you call on your spirit guides. So I highly recommend learning about ceremony, and if somebody invites you, just go check it out, because it's powerful, man. It's about releasing. It's about you and spirit connecting and understanding what the needs are at that moment. We've done ceremony for women who couldn't get pregnant, and we did ceremony around them, and they got pregnant. I mean, I know that sounds bizarre, right? People are like, how? I don't know. It's the power of spirit. But, and it could be just that she had fear around getting pregnant, so it blocked her, and we released that fear. When I do ceremony, it's mostly to release things like trauma, fear, lack of love, that type of thing. We're just getting rid of the past. You've got to clear the past. One thing I have learned in all my years of doing spirit work is that you have to clear your trauma and past to get to your future. And so many people live in the past, and so many people do what I call the Band-Aid effect, where you just, oh, I'm going to meditate once a month, and then, oh, I feel better, and it's a Band-Aid, right? For me, you have to get to the core of all your crap so it clears out. And I did a lot of soul retrievals, healing. I went to Sedona and worked with a lot of shamanic practitioners, and I've worked with indigenous tribes on energy work and that type of thing. And I will tell you something that when I look back, I realized those were all Band-Aid effects. Do you know what I mean? It was like I wasn't really dealing with the trauma, probably because it was really intense. And so once I dealt with that trauma, it opened up that part of me that I was like, oh my God, there you are. You know, that's what I've been looking for this whole time, right? And so I highly suggest doing that. Just deal with your shit and not talk about it all the time, right? Some things you have to keep private. There's some things that happen that I just don't tell people. And that's okay, you know. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. But I wanted to share with you that power of the ceremony I did this weekend, because I slept better. I could feel better. I could feel that tension leave me. It was so powerful. And I want to highly, highly recommend to everybody to partake in ceremony, to partake in community and building that network, however you see it, you know. It's important. You know, especially if you're on a spiritual path, you know. Now, I'm a lone wolf, there's no doubt. I do everything alone most of the time, and that's how that's how I dealt with my trauma, is I don't let people in. Just don't, because every time I let someone into my life, they screw with it, you know. And I don't know why that is, but it's just like you just need to stay away. I try to let women into my life from my past that I was friends with, and they are so much drama that I'm like, no, I can't do it. You create drama in my life. I've grown. I would hope to God at this age we grew up a little bit, you know, and some people haven't, and that's okay. That's their path. That does not mean I have to allow you in my life because you knew me when I was 20 years old. I'm not the same person. And I hope you're not either. I hope you're better, right? The thing is to be the best we can be. On my drive to Oregon, I listened to the 4 Agreements on audio, and it was true, right? I resonated with that a lot. It's about being the best you can be every day, and that's what I'm striving to do. And I'm not perfect by any means. And forgiveness and healing and all of that is about forgiving yourself too, because often in our past we weren't making the best choices. We didn't do the right things, and it's okay to say that. And when I see people who don't admit to that, I know they're not growing, and I can't have them in my life. If you can't admit that you have fucked up in your past, then you're not growing, because everyone has. Everyone has made stupid decisions and choices. God knows I have, especially in relationships. Let's talk about relationships. I've been single for a long time, almost 5 years. I've dated here and there, and it just never worked out. I always end up with abusers, always, or liars and cheaters. And I can't figure out why. And the last person I dated, I dated two guys when I came back to Seattle. The one was just too many, issues with mom and all that and whatever. God bless you. We never even had sex, and it was just more of a friendship turned into a living situation, and then I just moved out. And then the one I dated, then the other person I dated, I was like, you know what, I'm going to be so honest with this person, right? And I was so honest with this person. I was never more real in my life with somebody. In my life. Like, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. Because I figured if I'm really honest with somebody and they know all about my stuff, then if they still want to stick around, they might be worth it, right? Boy, was I wrong. That person did everything I asked them not to do, including cheating, drugs, lying, cheating with women on the internet, giving money to prostitutes on the internet. What are they? I don't know what they're called, but yeah, just disturbing shit. Honestly, disturbing shit. And it was devastating that I was like, wow. Even when I'm completely honest with someone, they still lie, cheat, do drugs, crazy shit. Why would you do that to me? And you know what they said to me? And this is what got me. I knew it was going to hurt you, but I didn't care. They said that to me. And at that moment, I decided, you know what? If this is the kind of person that I attract, because that's my whole life. My family didn't care. My, and I say family, my mother didn't care, is what I'm saying. My mother didn't care. Clearly, my father never cared, never met him. I was in foster homes where I was beaten and raped, and they didn't care. Nobody ever cared about me except my grandmother, and thank God I had her. And my kids now, of course. But I'm just saying, when you never have somebody care about you in a relationship, in any relationship, why do you think I was so fucked up? You know what I mean? Think about it. Why do you think I made some of those choices and did what I did? And I laugh about it because it's ridiculous that I didn't figure this out sooner. And I wish I would have, because my life would have been so different. I tell you. So I tell young kids today all this knowledge, and you can take it or leave it. But listen to Mama Faye, Listen to the crones that you disregard because we get older. And I'm going to be doing a podcast on that. It's interesting when you turn 50 years old, how society treats you. And I'm going to be doing a podcast on that. And we're going to be having some women my age and some younger women talking about it. But that's another day. But, yeah, those are the relationships I had. So I had to let all that go into the ocean, and say, you know what? I will stay single for the rest of my life, and it's okay. Because, honestly, to be in my life, and I've told women I started to date, or even if they want to date me, I'm like, you know what, to be in my life, you have to be up here with yourself, just like I am. You have to love yourself enough to know your worth. And if you have that, then we're going to get along great, male or female. And, but I don't look for it. And I don't need it. And my daughter mentioned this to me a few years ago. She said, Mom, I think your relationships don't work out anymore because you don't need a man. And a man needs to feel needed. Now I thought about that for a minute, and I'm like, you know what? But that's not up to me to make them feel needed. Right? That's a lack of self-worth. And it's not up to me to make anyone feel needed or loved or anything, right? All I can do is give that love. And if they receive it, then they feel it and they know it. But I don't need anyone, and they shouldn't need me, because we should be self-sufficient. That's how I am. I'm a Capricorn woman, and we are very strong. We're very business-minded. We're very independent women, especially those of us who have had trauma in our lives. We can take care of ourselves. So no, I might not need somebody in my life, but it's not about needing. It's about companionship at this point in my life. I'm not going to start a family. I'm getting older. Whoever is in my life would have to be a companion, somebody who wants to travel with me, get in my car and go on a road trip, or You know, somebody who wants to share experience with me, go see music, that type of thing. Not somebody who's, you know, we're going to start a family and do all this and this. That's not where I am in age, you know. And I've done a lot of work on myself. And I know a lot of single women who are very independent and don't need anybody in their life, but that doesn't mean that we wouldn't like somebody in our life. But at my stage, I feel that I wasn't ready either because clearly I make bad choices in partners. Right? Clearly, that's it. So I had to fix myself, and now I see red flags and I don't even waste my time anymore. I really don't. And if I see one red flag, I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work because I know who I am, and you haven't fixed yourself enough to be on my level, and that's not meaning I'm better. It just means I can't play this game anymore. I don't need the drama, the lies, the cheating, oh my God, how old are we? Ugh, exhausting, right? So that's what happened to me this weekend. It was a lot of dumping and forgiveness and releasing in the power of Mother Earth and the ocean, and redefining what I want in my life, and realizing that I'm not a bad person because I'm single either. It just means that I need this time to grow and figure out who I am. And I always tell Spirit, man, I have space here for someone who can level up with me. That's what it is. If they're there, they're welcome in it. If not, it's okay. And when I see people so afraid of being alone that they just settle, even my age, they haven't learned to stay away from the toxic men who are drug abusers and liars and alcoholics and all of that. God, especially in the scene that I was in, my God. And if women if women still want to put up with that, that's on them, right? But I won't. I just won't. And when I see women who do, I feel bad for them, because life isn't about that. It's not about that toxicity. It's about love and life and experiencing, and that's where I'm at now. And it took all that healing and all that work in this final ceremony in Oregon to really put the cherry on the cake, so to speak, like it's done. And now we can move forward to my future. And so if you're struggling right now, keep doing the work. If you're doing the work, keep going. If you're not doing the work, you got to start doing the work. Now, I go to teachers, like I find people who I resonate with. When I was in recovery a few years ago, in Texas, I listened to Matt Kahn, and he really, at that time, he was the man for me. Now I listen to Joe Dispenza because I like the science of it. I like his science and spirit. And so I suggest you find whoever works for you, you know, and listen to them and their techniques and put them to use. And you'll heal. You just will. And for me, what Joe Dispenza did, and again, I don't get paid by Joe Dispenza because I talk about him a lot. Because I think he healed me. His technique healed me. It changed my perspective of life. It made me realize everything that I was looking for in life. And that's what worked for me. And he might work for you. I know he works for some other people I've turned him on to. And other people have said, Faye, it's too complicated. I don't understand it. I couldn't resonate. That doesn't mean anything except, okay, you're not ready for that at that time. Let's turn you on to someone who's might be more your vibe. Because there's a lot of good teachers out there, including myself. I'm also a teacher and a mentor. So, you know, we all got something to offer. So find that. Keep doing the work. Don't give up. You're not alone. Trust me. Take it from the lone wolf. You're not alone. Okay? I'm going to draw cards. I got these angel cards, and they're really cool. And they've been really dead on for people in kind of a funny way because I can say this. My daughter has a tough heart, right? She's a strong woman. Oh, that woman's stubborn and strong. And she got a card that said, open up your heart, you know, and she goes, that's the wrong card, and we were joking about it, but it was a great card for her because she needs to soften her heart a little bit, because she's tough, you know, and tough is good, but you also have to be soft, too, and find that balance, and that card this card just popped out. This is for patience. Oh, look at that. Archangel Jophiel. Your dreams are blooming more rapidly than you realize. Still, they need nurturing and patience. Was I just saying don't give up? She's pretty. And so learn patience. And you know what? This is one of my life lessons. That's a funny card because one of my life lessons is patience. And I know this. It's in my charts. Like when I was younger, especially, I had the worst patience. Now I've gotten, as you get older, you get more patience, hopefully. But, so that's a great card. So somebody out there, don't give up. Have some patience, man, just like I had to do. This process for the last 8 to 9 months, doing the meditations and the soul work and the cellular work and all this stuff and becoming a soul coach. I was doing a lot of things that, like I said, I didn't tell people. But I had to have patience with that. Because sometimes I'd go like, is this even working? Does this even work? And now we have clairvoyance. I got this card the other day. Archangel Raziel. I am helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. Oh my gosh. I love it. Isn't that beautiful? And I love that because one thing I know about doing ceremony and connecting with spirit is they teach us love. And one thing that we should all be proud of is if we're still able to love after all the things we've been through in life, then that's the miracle, really. That's the miracle. When we can still stand alone and realize how alone we really are in this world and still give love, that's the miracle, right? You know, one thing, all those abusive people, relationships I had in my life, every guy that's ever cheated on me, lied to me, abused me, made me fight back for who I am, you know. I've had to physically fight men before because I remember my ex hit me with punched me in the face and my eyes swelled up really fast. And I just picked up and I fell down. And I got back up and I picked up a shovel and I went at him and he goes, man, you're a tough bitch. And I just destroyed his motorcycle. That's how I roll. But, you know, if we can survive all that, right? And I've had worse. So somebody tried to, my other ex tried to kill me, like literally. And you'll hear about all this in the podcast if you listen. But none of that really matters anymore. What matters is how I feel about myself today, you know? And I had to forgive all that, including myself, you know? Nobody wants to fight back. I never wanted to have to fight somebody in a relationship, but you can't punch me and think that I won't fight back. I will. And I don't even have that in my life now, though. That was years ago, and now it's just this, I wouldn't even think of that in my life. Like that, like I said, one red flag, you're out. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You're not in my life. So if we can survive all of that and still give love and still feel valuable, man, that's the miracle, and that's what called being a warrior is, you know? How we handle things in life. Are we going to be a victim or a warrior? A victim would look like, oh, I would blame all my exes for all my problems. And I don't do that. I blame them for their problems because it is their problem, you know? What kind of human being can punch a woman and be okay with a mother, you know? But that shows you what kind of people I attract in my life. That's why I stay single. Because people ask me all the time. And I'm like, that's why. Because if you are attracted to me, you're probably a narcissist. I mean, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to draw one more card. And then I date women too, and they are just drama with their exes, and, you know, forget it. You know, it's just not worth it. Not worth it. But I would love to meet a wonderful woman who's strong and vibrant and in her own success, you know, or a man even, you know. I'm bisexual. I lean sometimes more towards one way or another during phases of my life. Right now it's very feminine energy I'm attracted to. But I also find masculine energy attractive. So here's what it is. All right, so then we have peace. Talking about my exes, and then I draw this card. Archangel Shamuel. I can't say these names. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. I love that because we were just talking about that. See how spirit works? It's great. And it is true. If you can love yourself after all the stuff you've been through, and after everything everyone's done to you, then yeah, that's the miracle, and that's the power of spirit. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, I've got to scoot to get to my job. I just wanted to share my wonderful weekend with you and how powerful it was, and remind you about the power of ceremony, about the power of forgiveness, about the power of moving on, and know that you are loved, and no matter what you're going through, right? Maybe you need to go to the ocean and just release and play your drum or scream at the top of your lungs and just give it to the earth and the wind and the ocean to take away. And maybe you need to connect with community. Maybe you need to reach out and say, hey, I feel stuck. What can I do? And you know, you've got to do what you got to do. That's what I always tell people, to heal. And that's what I do. And when Spirit tells me for 2 months I got to go to the Oregon coast and do this ceremony, I get in the car after I figure it all out, and I go when I feel the time is right. But they plant that seed, like this is what you're going to have to do. You have to listen to that and do it, and your life will change. My clients that come to me, they get on a program, right? Because in order to heal, you have to do what Spirit tells you to do. And when the clients that do what Spirit tells them to do have a very high success rate because they're listening. Okay, that will work for me. I hope all that makes sense. I love you all. Remember to keep peace, love, harmony in your presence at all times, and know that even if you can't because you're having a bad day, and God knows I do, I see the news or whatever, and I go, oh my God, and it brings me to a level, so I have to catch yourself and say, nope, that's not my reality. My reality is I'm love, hope, and forgiveness. That's who I am. And the world might be falling apart around me, but I'm going to stay clear in my presence of who I am. I love you all. Thanks for watching and listening to The Tattooed Psychic. I'll be back with guests. I have Dr. Savannah coming up October 2nd. She is going to be teaching us how to heal our bodies. She's amazing. I love her to death. And then we have my friend Mirna, who is a health coach as well, and going to talk about her transition, about her spiritual journey. So we've got a lot of good things coming up, and I appreciate you listening. I hope you continue to watch and listen. I love you all. And if you want a reading with me, readingswithfaye@gmail.com. Have a blessed day.